Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron here, New Life Pentecostal Church, Albany, Georgia. Since we live in America, I thought we'd take a look at kind of a Christian view of the Bill of Rights. It's good to be reminded of some of the rights that God has sovereignly given us here in the United States of America. I mean, we had the good fortune of either being here or immigrating here and becoming citizens. And so we're just going to look. I did a video recently on a creationist look at the Declaration of Independence, that the reason that they felt the way they felt is because they believed in a creator, that there was a creator. And so we're going to look at the Bill of Rights and see if there's any Christian influences in there, biblical influences in there. So let's just take a quick look here. And maybe not a quick look. So there's 10 amendments. Now we have to remember the background of this. This was, had the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists going back and forth. You had people for strong government, people were weak, decentralized government, people for states' rights, people for more of a centralized government, and they were just going back and forth. And so the Bill of Rights do not give us rights. We have to remember that. These are rights enumerated that exist because everybody is endowed with their creator, from their creator, with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So the creator gave us rights. So this is just an enumeration of those rights. The government does not give it, and unfortunately can take it away. But not in a certain context. I do want to do something here, and let's look up the preamble to the Constitution. Let's see if we can find that. Preamble to the Constitution text. I'll just go ahead and show you this because this is a very important thing to look at the preamble, because it's going to kind of give us the context of the Constitution. Now, if the Lord was my help and we had enough time, I'd love to do an entire commentary on the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. I doubt that'll ever happen, but maybe it will, because I'm trying to do a commentary on the entire Bible as well. There's a lot of different things I'd like to do commentaries on the translators to the reader, with the King James Version, the epistle dedicatory of the King James Version. A lot of things I'd like to do commentaries on. So the preamble says, "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice." So the purpose of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution is for justice, equality under the law, to ensure domestic tranquility, so it shouldn't cause fighting, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and that just means government getting out of the way basically, and people being able to do what they need to do, and secure the blessings of liberty, And I noticed that blessings is here capitalized. I don't have the original document. I wonder if it is an original document. Blessings of liberty is capitalized, the blessings of liberty. So liberty has blessings. And so I think Ronald Reagan always did a good job of saying, government's not the solution, government's the problem, this type thing. Now, of course, we love government. We need roads. We need the common defense. There's certain things we need the government for. I like the fact the trash guy came and got my trash this morning. Glad we got electricity. I mean, there's a lot of good things. Okay. So secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. So that is the preamble. So now let's hop into the Bill of Rights. It says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Now, even into the 1800s, states like Connecticut, I believe Massachusetts, they had established churches. Whether it was the Episcopal Church, the Congregational Church, they would have churches that would have favoritism. And sometimes even you couldn't belong to you couldn't vote in some instances, especially this would be pre-1776, couldn't vote in some instances. You read in the 1600s, this is absolutely amazing, the halfway covenant and all this kind of stuff, that you couldn't hold office, you got certain things, other churches would be taxed. And this is like the Baptists have a huge history from this time, because the Baptists were always fighting for liberty. They were wanting all religions to be equal. Even Voltaire, that notorious atheist, said, if you have one religion, you have tyranny. To have two religions, you have civil war. If you have 100 religions, you have peace. And so, something to that effect. So, the government is not supposed to say, in low law respecting an establishment of religion, they're not supposed to have like a Christianity test. And in this case, even though there was a few Jews here and different others, it was basically a denominational sectarian test when this was done in the original intent, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So in the Bill of Rights, you can practice your religion. The only time you would not be able to practice your religion is if it's harming other people. Let's say there was some crazy religion that required you to sacrifice, human sacrifice or something. Well, you could not do that. But other than just these extreme examples, obviously you can have freedom of religion in the United States of America. And people do. I mean, people have weird suicide cults. People have UFO cults. People like, weird stuff. All right. Okay. Or abridging the freedom of speech. And there's a semicolon. All the colons, semicolons, commas are important because it lets you see what's going where. Samuel Johnson in 1755 had really just unified the English language, and Webster would Americanize it out in 1828. Okay, or abridging the freedom of speech. So Amendment 1, Bill of Rights, you can speak your mind, and even horrible hate speech. The only limits to that is if you're endangering the life or property of another. So I couldn't just speak to Brother Mallory here, who's one an amazing job tech here at New Life of Albany. I just couldn't say, well, let's go across the street and hurt this person. Well, that's not good. And that's not good. But you abridging the freedom of speech, if you've got an opinion about something, then you can speak your mind. And that was, I love reading about, the Vermonters, everybody speak their piece and all this, going to the local assemblies. Or of the press. So they can't abridge the freedom of the press. Now, I wonder if that goes to the press encouraging violence against a group of people or something. I would assume that would be abrogated, that would be a limit to freedom of the press. Or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble. So people can assemble together as long as it's in peace, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances, because that's what they had just done with England. So this is saying this is the rights of the people. This does not give you that right. This is God-given rights. The Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Notice this is a state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Okay, so the right of the people to keep and bear arms. And this has kind of always been, a well-regulated militia is the reason they needed arms to be part of the militia? Or was it the people? Because the people is a very big phraseology in the Constitution. Those of you that study the Constitution, you know this, that the people, this is, when we get to the 10th of the Bill of Rights, it really comes to play, or is it a protection against these well-regulated militias? But either way, it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, people who would say it's because you need a well-regulated militia, now that they say that no longer exists, then the second part of that no longer exists. I would go with the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I think that is a good thing. And again, the only exceptions I would see to that, and this is the reason the Constitution, as John Adams said, it's for a moral people after the gospel of Jesus Christ, is because we have self-government, we have holiness, we have godliness. And, so if somebody says, give me that gun because I'm going to go shoot up people, then no, he doesn't need a gun, obviously. And so people that are a danger to other people, I think that's just common sense. When you get to danger of other people, I guess you could get into definitions there, though. Okay, Amendment 3, no soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. And that goes back to the British could just come and kind of commandeer your house for any reason. So it's saying even in a time of war, a law has to be passed before soldiers can use your house. Okay, so Amendment 4, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. And of course, and so that's where people, real privacy advocates, really get, Google is sweeping up our information, Facebook is sweeping up our information. Well, they're not per se government institutions, even though you could debate their beginnings with DARPA and, the intelligence communities. Some people feel that they are kind of arms of that, but officially, obviously, they're not. And possibly more so than officially, they're not. But anyhow, so this is the right to privacy, basically. All right, and some would even use Amendment 4 of the Bill of Rights in the pro-life and abortion issues. So you'd have some tension there of the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness versus right of privacy. Okay, so Amendment 5, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life or liberty or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So a lot there in number 5. First is the double jeopardy clause, without getting into the military things, and the grand juries, all this. But let's just go this route. The double jeopardy clause, you can't be tried for the same offense twice. And this was like when the anti-Masons really gained favor in the 1820s, 1830s. What they were concerned about is if you had a Masonic judge that could prejudice cases in favor of Masons or against anti-Masons, then once they did that, you really couldn't try that person again for the same offense. And so that's kind of in that, amongst many other things. Okay, so nor shall he be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. So there's no torture. And some people try to use the military phraseologies at the beginning of this as an exception of this. And so then they say, well, the U.S. has been under martial law technically since 1867, blah, blah, blah. And that's all just weird stuff. And I say it's weird, maybe it's not weird, but it's stuff that in one lifetime you don't have times to go into every limited hangout and every rabbit trail in the whole world. We just need to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're just in America. We're looking at things from this American point of view. Okay, so you can't, this is what pleading the fifth is. Now, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. So, does pleading the fifth automatically mean that you're guilty? Some would say yes, that it is a presumption of guilt. I'm not sure that that is true. So, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Okay, we would all know what that means. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. And this would be eminent domain laws. And what are the limits of eminent domain laws? Let's say that, okay, I'm paying property taxes here at this house, and Walmart wants to come in. And so they figure, and they're like, okay, we make, from this neighborhood, we make 50 grand a year on property taxes. From sales tax, we're going to make $19 trillion from Walmart. That's an exaggeration. Everybody calm down. Okay. We're going to make $19 million from sales tax from Walmart. So you guys have to move out because we're going to get the taxes for the government. You have to be able to get just compensation for that. So Amendment 6, in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district where the crime was committed. All that's very important. Which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. All that is a wonderful, wonderful thing. That is absolutely awesome. And we don't always have speedy trials, but we do need public trials. And this is where, what do they call it? Public defenders come from. This is where public defenders come from. That is a very good thing. Amendment 7, in suits at common law where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of common law. I wonder if that's got an inflation provision in it, because that's basically talking about businesses and stuff. If you've got a complaint, $20 is probably $20,000 today, unless they're doing it in the Continentals, which were hyperinflationary. Okay, Amendment 8. Oh, and also, about being in the jurisdiction, Bill of Rights number 6. See, they would take them to England to be tried, and that's the reason they were just like, this can't happen. Okay, Amendment 8. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. That's all very good things. Amendment 9, the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Now notice this, just because something's not listed here doesn't mean the people have more rights. Our rights are not limited to the Bill of Rights. We have other rights not enumerated here. And that's what it's saying. And then Amendment 10, wonderful, the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution. So the Constitution chains the United States. You can only do these things. You cannot go beyond that. Nor prohibited by it to the states. So, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So if the Constitution, which we won't get into today, doesn't say the government can do something, then it's automatically a state's issue or a people's issue. So it's very decentralized. And but again, it goes back to a belief in a creator, and that people are created with certain unalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And all of this, the preamble and the 10 Bill of Rights, I almost said 10 Commandments, the Bill of Rights, enumerate those blessings of liberty. And I pray in the Holy Ghost that you will see the great privilege. This is the reason, people talk about the evils of America, it's misogynistic, it's racist, all this. Then it's amazing to me that all of these people of various ethnicities and gender are trying to come to the United States of America as a beacon of hope and freedom. Obviously, they don't see us that way, and I don't see it that way when I'm out. Of course, there's exceptions. There's people that are, but as long as you have people, you're going to have problems. As a pastor, I can attest to that. And till Jesus comes, it's a blessing to be in the U.S. God bless. I'll talk with you later in Jesus' name.